Hey, Chris, this is Curtis Calhoun with MMA News. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. First off, tough matchup against a former champion in Lance Palmer. What are your thoughts on the matchup, and what kind of fight are you expecting for this one?
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. I think the PFL did a really good job this season, seeing a lot of the big names that they brought together early on. And, it's a really tough division. So, you know, if you're looking to duck tough fights, you're going to have a hard time here. And I'm not looking to hide from tough fights. And Lance is a guy I have a lot of respect for, but um, I'm very, very confident right now in the work I've been putting in. So I think that you're going to see like a high pace fight with a lot of scrambles. And I think that as a result of that, you're going to see a finish.
And then this is your second season in the PFL at featherweight. Talking about the cut to featherweight, have you seen a noticeable difference in your style since making the move? And how is the cut now compared to when you first made that move?
Yeah, this is the second year now. So this will be like the fifth time I make weight. And it feels great. I'm a better fighter at 45 because the extra work that has to be put in to make the weight. Some of those things were things I avoided earlier in my career with 55. And now I'm putting in that long road work. I'm putting in those long cardio sessions. So it's made me a fighter that is a stronger late second and third round fighter. So instead of fading, now I come on stronger.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Mark. Hey Chris, this is Mark from the Touch 'em Up podcast, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Mark?
Not much, not much. I'd like to start it off with obviously last season, first time down at 45. You come in, you get to the finals, you get to the championship. Obviously, those don't go your way, but you had a great season throughout the season. Great performances, great wins. I think the scrambling and wrestling ability you showcased against Bubba Jenkins really kind of put people on notice a little bit extra. You know, you came in, got that first knockout of your career in the tournament, and then you put on that great performance against Bubba Jenkins. But going into this season, without having Movlid Haibulaev in the bracket for 145, do you feel like you're kind of like the uncrowned champion going into this season? And it's kind of for a lack of better terms, but he's not here. Do you feel like you're going to come in and you're coming for the finish right away? Like you have a little bit of extra motivation coming into this season?
Yeah, that's exactly what my mindset is, Movlid, he won the title last year. He's the champ from last year, but he's not here this year. And, then when you look at everything else, with the season that I had and with the improvements that I've made since then, I feel like I'm the guy here. And I'm sure everybody feels like they're the guy. They're going to tell you that, but um, I, I I put the results out there, and I always put the results out there every year, whether it's 55 or here. It's me down to the nitty gritty at the end. So with him not being here, I feel like this is my division.
100%, Chris. And, coming into this fight, you train out of, I believe it's MMA Islip out in Long Island. Am I off by a little bit? But I know we talked a little bit on the interview, but who is your biggest like training partner for your camps, especially going into this season? Who's the guy you get the most work out of in, leading up to this 2022 season? Who's the guy? If there's multiple, just who has made you improve the most going into this year?
Yeah. Well, I have training partners, right? And those guys, like my partner here with me, Hugh McKenna, um, and then I have Brian Kelleher at Long Island MMA. I have, we have a really young crew of guys, so a lot of those guys are not up at the level where you guys would know them yet, but they're a young, hungry group, and I prefer to be with those guys right now, honestly, in my career, because they push me every single day. They challenge me every single day. So between my coaches, Ryan LaFleur, Greg T. Pasquale, Keith Trimble, and then that young core of guys, that stable that we have coming up, it's a really good mix for me. Some people like the big gyms where they're kind of button heads with big name guys every day, but I like the work and the concentration I get in a little bit of a smaller gym.
Absolutely. And it's always those guys that people don't really know yet that you're working with, you know, kind of behind the scenes because they don't have the name recognition. Those are usually the guys that give you the most improvement anyway, because, you know, they're not getting bombarded with interview questions and media questions all the time. So I feel like that's kind of MMA's secret weapon as the years have gone on. You know, there's always that those one or two training partners that people don't know yet. And you bring them up and they're kind of like, you know, I don't really know who that is, but, you know, I'll keep a lookout for him. And then a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, you know, they're up at the top.
Yeah, that's McKenna that I have here with me. Like I know if you put him in the room, it doesn't matter who, PFL, UFC fighters, he'll be finishing guys. And but people don't really know who he is, and that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. And best of luck, Chris. And I can't wait to see you perform.
Thank you.
Tudor.
Hello, Chris. It's good to see you back here. Last year you fell short of capturing the championship after dropping a decision to Movlid. How did you take that loss and what did you learn from it?
It's good to talk to you again. We fell short. It was crushing. It was probably the hardest loss in MMA that I've ever had to deal with and to move past and to get through. There was a solid chunk of time there up until like the holidays where I was pretty depressed. I was pretty upset. I would go through waves of emotion and you know, just asking myself why. And then you know, if you're a competitor and if you're a winner, you stop feeling sorry for yourself. You let those feelings wash over and then you get back to work. So really from the holidays on, I've been just crushing it in the gym, trying to be just a guy that would really beat on my former self. That was my goal.
Khabibulov is out for the season, but are you interested in in pushing for a rematch when he will be available?
Absolutely. I feel like that fight was, you know, I grew up wrestling my whole life, but I was also somebody that got super ridiculed in this sport for wrestling guys or just, you know, doing the minimum to win. And I feel like that's a fight I could definitely get back if I can just keep him from hanging on to me. I can see myself, I want to win this title this season, and then hopefully he comes back, and then me and him can have one more go and see who really is the man.
Thank you very much, Chris. Best of luck for this season.
Thank you.
Max.
How you doing, Chris? Thank you so much for taking the time. This is Max Going with the Going Live Network. Just to kind of piggyback off that last question there. Obviously, you had that reflection period. It was a dark moment, as you said. But were there any positives that you took away from that experience, being the very first year in a brand new division, going all the way to the finals? Are there any extra motivation or positives that you took from that?
I did, but the positives, like I said, they kind of came after the holidays. The first month or month and a half was just really rough on myself. I still had the cut from the knee, and like when I would look in the mirror, it would be a constant reminder, and like it was torture kind of to just because like I'm not just a meat person. Like I'm big on my family and my daughter, and I wanted that title and I wanted that money for them more than even for myself. And I feel like I let them down, my coaches, and it really upset me. I'm somebody that like, I don't, I'm really hard on myself. So I beat myself up for a while and I needed to have talks with other people to get myself out of that headspace. And, but once I did, I was able to turn it into a positive, like, yeah, they slept on me last year. That I was basically on the outs. I was like the last guy picked for the division. and I ran to the finals again because like that's pretty much what I do every year. And I just made a promise to myself, and I took pictures of myself. I keep it private, but I took pictures of myself, and I used them as a reminder that like nobody's ever going to do that to me again. Nobody's ever going to make me feel that way again. And when I'm having like a rough day, or, you know, or even if I'm not, and I just feel like I got enough work done, I'm good. Sometimes I'll go into my phone and I'll just scroll back to that date and look at the pictures like after the fight when you know, a couple of days later when you swell up and stuff. And I'm just let that be a reminder, like work harder, because there was a guy out there that was able to like, you know, hold you against your will. And you thought you were the man, but you weren't. So it's time to get back to work. And like that's the mindset for 2022.
I really appreciate the honesty there, man. Thanks so much and good luck.
Thank you.
Dylan.
Hey there, Chris. I appreciate you making some time.
Hey, Dylan.
I'm just curious because you've got multiple PFL seasons under your belt and like different structures for some of them there. Like you were pretty fired up, it seemed like, to be past the multi-fight nights. So to that point, how much, I guess, competitive utility is there from the last season, just getting yourself readied and familiarized for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I even told you what the structure is. I'm so focused on just like one fight at a time that like I quite honestly, like I haven't even taken the time to like look at how it all rolls itself out. I just know that if I go in there and focus on my opponent each time, that those things will take care of themselves. But has anything changed drastically from last season?
Just if there's any like residual benefit from like being familiarized with that methodology to carry into this one, but it seems like that's not the case based on your response.
Oh, well, no, yeah, it's ingrained into me because this is my 4th season with the PFL. So I'm used to fighting like real quick turnarounds now every 6 weeks or so. Like I've proven to myself that I can make the weight with just that little bit of time in between. And now it's just about like constantly streamlining that process. Last year, I would make the weight and I would like, I think that hurt me in the finals. I would like, making the weight was like, oh my God, the work is done. Like that's the hard part. And then I would kind of like binge and gorge, and I would be kind of a wreck with my stomach the next day. So I learned, I got with a nutritionist now, guys from home, you know, they kind of said that if you structure things more rigidly, then you'll probably feel better the next day. So we got a program to rehydrate and to come back up in weight instead of just to put everything I can find back in my body because I want to. So I think you're going to see even better performances than last year because I'm taking that recovery much more seriously this year.
Yeah, for sure. Great insights. And just lastly for me, because I saw you made the Reddit MMA top 10 takedowns of the year last year. Is there an aim to get that distinction again this year?
No, because there really wasn't an aim last year. If you look back at the fights, I mean, not that this was a good thing, but I got so in my own head about how I felt like, all right, why wasn't I even coming back at 55? What was wrong? What did I do wrong? And you know, it was like finishes and you know, just action. So I was like, all right, I'm not even shooting takedowns anymore. And if you look at last season, like I did grapple when people shot in on me, but it was all counter grappling, and then I would take advantage of it from there. But I didn't shoot like almost any shots. And this year we got back to like, you know, what are you doing there? You're taking away a huge piece of who you are. So now we've kind of seamed everything back together. And I think that with the matchup, especially coming up this week, you're going to see some really cool scrambles. Trust me.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Thanks for the insights.
Thank you.
Lorenzo.
Hey, Chris, nice to talk to you. This is Lolo from Wookiesburg Pod Network. I have a Question for you. You've been fighting professionally for a long time, over a decade now. In that time, you've seen the growth of MMA in the U.S. firsthand, right? So I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on what might be next for MMA as a whole? I mean, you have high-level MMA being broadcast nationally now on ESPN, right, with PFL and UFC. That's something that very few people would have predicted back in the early 2000s, even in the early 2010s, I think. How much bigger can this sport get, do you think, and what does it mean to you to be part of that growth?
Yeah, well, just to work backwards from there, like it means the world to me to be a part of it, and I'm so happy to see the development of the sport. And like you said, 10 years ago, saying that we would be on ESPN, even, it was like people would just laugh at you, and that wouldn't be, or that wasn't even close to reality. So we have come so far, but I think that what you're going to see in the near future and what I want to see. And I think sometimes you feel in life like you're in something, but there's a bigger picture. And I really since I've gotten into this sport, I've understood, because of my knowledge about other major sports in America, that even though we're fighters and we fight each other, there's individuality. We need to look out for one another so that everybody and all of our families can do better. And I think that soon, maybe it's not this year, maybe it's not next year, but soon the fighters are going to come together. And I think you're going to see pay and things like insurance and stuff that we talk about now be a total non-issue. Once we can all really come together and have power together, that's when MMA is going to really shoot through the roof.
That's some great insight there. What you mentioned about the bigger picture. You know, I'm not a fighter. I've never fought, but it's sometimes I think not fair to ask so much of a fighter besides what they're already doing. You have to prepare. You have to train. You have to study your opponent. You have to actually fight, first of all. Those things that come with the bigger picture, the moving forward for the fighters, do you think that still is on the fighters for themselves to do, given everything they have on their plate, or do you think maybe that's more of a job for managers, promoters, etc.?
I see what you're saying, and we do have a lot on our plate, and that's what I mean by that is like, as my generation, because I've been fighting for over a decade, over the next few years, as we transition to the end of our run competitively in the sport, some of us, I think, are destined to stay in and around the sport to make it better for the men and women that are to come. So one of my goals has always been to make sure that I leave it better than when I got there. So I want to be involved in that, and whether that comes into me managing or, and maybe I can help affect change that way. I don't know what the future will hold in that regard. I just know I have a feeling that I have a place in it, and I want to be a part of it.